Hello guys, welcome to Clouds Gaming. Today we're going to take a look at 80 Days. This is a port from mobile and it's based on the story Around the World in 80 Days by Jules Verne. And this is how it starts. London 1872, I have entered into the service of a new gentleman. And this is the French valet, Passepartout, and he has just entered into the service of Phileas Fogg. And I click this, it would seem he is a gambling man. And that's because Phileas Fogg has just been to the Reform Club in London and he has gambled with the other members there that he can make it around the world in 80 days. And he recently hired his French valet and he shall help him in his traveling. So as I said, this is a mobile port, so it's a game that has a lot of text and mainly artwork for the different cities that you visit around the world. So you could play it on your tablet if you wanted to, while on the train or traveling, or you could play the Steam version, and this is the Steam version right here. It seems like they did a decent job porting it. And both the main characters, Phileas Fogg, the wealthy Englishman, and his French butler, Passepartout, are the same as in Jules Verne's book. So we start out in London. So let's begin. This is how you start the new game. Monsieur Phileas Fogg. So as you can see, we say Monsieur, that's because we are actually playing as Passepartout, his French valet that he just hired. Returned home early from the Reform Club and in a newfangled steam carriage besides. I helped him down. Passepartout, that's our name, maybe, said he. We are going around the world. Around the world, monsieur? Very good, monsieur. I murmured dutifully, not believing a word of it. We shall circumnavigate the globe within 80 days. He was quite calm as he proposed this wild scheme. We leave for Paris on the 8:25 in an hour. But of course, I answered still extremely suspicious. He nodded good, pack an altimeter and my evening jacket. There is not a moment to waste. You, Passepartout, now have funds. The character is now dependable. Okay. So we will leave for Paris. He said to pack his evening jacket and an altimeter. Let's pack something here. Pocket altimeter. So we need to bring that. Evening jacket. He wants that. Let's just read the text. A well-fitting, neatly tailored Savile Row evening jacket, priceless, part of the Englishman's wardrobe, said 2 out of 3 owned. Alright, and we have a wax cylinder, inscribed with marks describing a recording of a symphony, valuable in Vienna, Paris and Copenhagen. So we're headed to Paris, so let's bring that, maybe we can sell it. European shipping timetable, a slender volume listing all shipping routes within Europe. Routes for ships in Europe will be visible on the globe. That sounds very useful. Maybe we don't need these. The cut is most dependable, the color most decidedly nondescript. Part of the Englishman's wardrobe set complete. So I guess we can either bring this for money or this to have the shipping routes. Or we could just not bring this. 2 out of 3 owned. He said to bring the evening jacket, we'll just bring it. We'll actually just leave the wax cylinder, let's bring the shipping routes. Alright, let's roll. A completed Englishman's wardrobe should help us negotiate times of upper-class journeys. Okay, so the full set gives us this bonus. We must discover our route as we go onwards. So now, I guess with use the mouse wheel I can zoom out. And I think that the other routes that we discovered are the shipping routes from the timetable. And we are just about to leave, really. We already packed, so let's go. So we'll go to Paris, Amphitrite Express, embark. Departing now, the guard's van has space for 1 suitcase, which will suffice, we only have 1. Travel, this promises to be a bearable experience, let's go. So that's like a metal horse, mechanical horse carriage. So yeah. The mechanical horses raced past Piccadilly Circus and Pall Mall faster than a team of thoroughbreds. Even so, the whistle of the 8:25 was blowing as we pulled up to Charing Cross station. We raced along the concourse and threw ourselves aboard, or we could have no tickets. Let's just race up and jump on. We raced along the concourse and threw ourselves aboard as the second whistle shrieked its warning. We barely had time to take our seats before the guard rapped smartly on the compartment door. He held out a hand. "Tickets, please." We can either pretend to have lost them, or we can say, "Alas, monsieur, we are in a great hurry." I don't think he cares that we are in a great hurry, so let's pretend to have lost them. Patting down one pocket and then the other, and was about to start digging through our suitcases when Monsieur Fogg interrupted my touching performance. "My valet is trying to express that we were in too much haste to purchase tickets," he said, no doubt intending to chasten me, which was not at all my meaning, and I tried to alter my mime, which was not at all my meaning. And he left me rather in doubt of my master's interpretive abilities. He was not a particularly theatrical man, it must be said. "You may purchase them from me," the guard was saying, "though it is more expensive, I'm afraid. £85, please." Yeah, let's just give him the £85. So we gave them to him, and smiled a thin smile from one working man to another. The guard gave me our tickets and slid the compartment door shut behind him with a pneumatic hiss. "Your funds have gone down somewhat. Your relationship with Fogg has deteriorated slightly." Okay. "I am on fine form, but we must make haste. You seem quite a handy man to have around, Passepartout, so we can converse." "I am your service, Monsieur Fogg, Passepartout. Money?" "This journey will be most expensive, monsieur." "Indeed, but we can earn a little from buying and selling our possessions as we travel." "Journey? But tell me, monsieur, what is the purpose of our journey? I have made a hefty wager and I do not intend to lose." "Very good." Yeah, the hefty wager is actually quite a lot of money in the book. I think it's like £20,000 back in the 1800s, which would be around 1.6 million today or something like that. London smog gave way to rolling hills and the pastures of the Kentish countryside, still untouched by the hand of technological advancement. Monsieur Fogg read his paper whilst I repacked our bags. Thrown together in haste and confusion as afternoon turned inexorably to evening, I discovered that my master was one of those gentlemen who broke the silence rarely, if at all. A guard rapped on the door. A few miles before Dover. "We are about to submerge," he warned. "Take some people a bit funny, so watch out." "What do you mean, submerge?" I cried. "This is the London to Paris Amphitrite Express," she explained, as though to a particularly dim-witted child, the submersible terrain. Talk of all the London papers. I must have missed it, I admitted humbly. "Missed it," he said scornfully. "Every inch of her has been examined and stamped with the artificial seal. This is the world's only bathyscaphe locomotive." I could not help a shiver as the fins above the Amphitrite's wheels extended with a hydraulic hiss. Night fell and we plunged past the end of the track into the freezing water of the English Channel. "Relations with Fogg have improved slightly. Your character is now organized." Okay. So he seems to like it that we repacked our luggage. So now we're underwater. The Amphitrite plowed through the waters overnight and splashed up onto wider gauge. French tracks ablaze as dawn broke. I began to consider what we might require for our journey, or do you have a route in mind, monsieur? Let's ask about the route. I asked as the water of the channel dried from the compartment windows. "I am as yet undecided," my master admitted. "The new canal has sped up the shipping route from Suez to Bombay, though perhaps we could take the Trans-Siberian Railway across Russia." In the book, I think it's a new piece of railway towards India that makes it possible to circumnavigate the globe in 80 days, and that's why he starts the wager, because the other ones don't think that he can do it. So here it looks like maybe it's a canal, a new canal. "Surely not Siberia," I exclaimed. "It is so cold and grim, and I have a particular fear of bears." "Then we would do well to buy furs," he replied, refraining from rolling his eyes. "There are other alternatives. We may also travel overland and across the Black and Caspian Seas." "But which is fastest, or which is safest?" "I guess we have to go fast and disregard risk. So let's ask which is fastest." "I believe," he said, "that is what we shall put to the test. Parbleu, I scarcely knew what to think." We arrived at Paris Gare du Nord just after 1 o'clock. I think that's the central station in Paris, Gare du Nord. Automaton porters lifted our luggage and then our persons onto the platform with long, delicately filigreed iron arms. Paris, city of my heart, I was home, but not to stay. Yeah, because we're French. So apparently we came from there, probably before we moved to England to become the butler for Phileas Fogg. So we discovered some new routes that we can choose between, if we can make it to the starting cities. So now we're arriving. Some of our possessions would sell efficiently here. We will have to explore Paris to find an onward journey. Alright, let's go take a look at the market. We can buy an extra suitcase, geometry equipment, a set of geometric drawing instruments precisely made and beautifully presented, valuable in Copenhagen, Warsaw and Budapest. Shaving kit, pears, soap, a badger bristle brush and a heat-tempered blade, part of the valeting set. Traveling cloak, part of the gentleman traveler set. A magnificent bottle of Chateau, worth a lot in Berlin. I don't know if we should do any trading here. I actually want to know where we're going before we do anything. Let's explore Paris. So we discovered a bunch of new routes. We had a few hours to spare. I asked Monsieur Fogg if I might enjoy my city before we had to leave. Indeed, and should you learn anything of note, be sure to relay it. I nodded and headed into town. The talk on the streets was of one thing only, an enormous, elegant oval stadium constructed upon the green fields of Champ de Mars and containing the technological marvels, art, amusement parks, and milling crowds of the World's Fair of 1872. My city still wore the scars of last year's siege, as did I. Paris and France had surrendered to the Prussian army after 4.5 months of grim, blood-soaked resistance in the Franco-Prussian War. I put away my memories of those grim days, of red meat stew and artillery bombardment, and I gazed instead at the grand illuminated pavilions of the exposition. I went west towards the airship hangar, past the booth with a husband and wife pair selling panoramic hot air balloon rides to eager tourists. I inquired as to their hourly rate, wondering if perhaps the balloon could be encouraged to go a little way east as well and contribute to our great journey. £80 for a half-hour flight, the man responded. I gaped, that is robbery. The man shrugged. We are the only balloonists here today. Are you willing to miss out on the experience of a flight over Paris? I'm going around the world, I replied. I hope for much more impressive sights in the days to come. The man nodded and moved on to the next punter with great swiftness. Alright, let's go check out these airships. There were a huge number on display from all over the world, and my eye was immediately caught by African, Egyptian, middle class, and oh, there's a lot of options. What about the Peruvian gyrocopter? Yeah, let's check that out. Which looked tiny and flimsy in comparison with the airships surrounding it. They say the Incans invented the first gyrocopter, boasted the dark-haired pilot, pushing up her goggles to give me a wink. As their heirs, we Peruvians have made some few improvements. You do not see many Peruvian gyrocopters in the air, I remarked. Are they unsafe? The lady shook her head. No, they are quite safe, but they are quite hard to build. Perhaps one day soon Monsieur Fogg and I would find ourselves flying in such a craft. I returned to the exposition center, my thoughts turning with clouds and engine rotors. Avenues sprawled in every direction between the inviting illuminated pavilions of the exposition. Alright, that's enough. Let's just leave. I returned to Monsieur Fogg, who was eating a meal of plain boiled beef de l'Anglaise. Did you enjoy the exposition? My master inquired diffidently, as though I had been out visiting an age-old ground, and I nodded. Nothing else could possibly impress me now. We are unspeakably lucky to live in such an age of invention. Or will we travel by airship, do you suppose? Let's say that. I think it highly likely, he replied. They are expensive but extremely fast. I dreamed that night of mechanical wonders and automatons with beautifully enameled faces, Knowing little of the strange inventions and stranger peoples I would soon encounter in my journey around the world. So there's a hotel here. I guess we could spend one night there, or we could plan. So let's, the clock is ticking past part 2. We must decide our next steps quickly. Yeah, let's plan. Let's have a look here. Maybe we can go here, but we'll have to backtrack from Venice. I would actually like to go to Venice, because there's a nice route here. Or maybe if we could make it to Moscow. If we go to Vienna. We'll go to Vienna and try for Moscow. I think that makes sense. With the Orient Express departs for Vienna in 2 days. What about if we go to Rome? If we go to Nice, departs for Nice in 3 days. It takes even longer. See what else could we do. There's a gyrocopter up there, it looks like. But that's going north instead of going east. I think we should head to Vienna. Let's do that. Let's negotiate. The Englishman's wardrobe should yield results. Most generous, no charge tomorrow. The ticket will require a further £250. So it also seemed to move it forward a little bit, so we can go already tomorrow at 6 PM. So I guess we just need to wait a day at the hotel. We'll pass the night here. We took a hotel for the night. We'll be comfortable here, Monsieur Fogg remarked, but traveling overnight will often be more efficient. So we must board the longest journeys available. Perhaps, he replied, the short answer indicating I think that one-day journeys might often be more flexible in their timing and could allow for more connections. Still, the surrounds of the Hotel Ritz were most enjoyable. Click the clock to skip an hour if you are waiting for the market or bank to open. We are not. We want to just depart. So it says 14 players, so I guess we can see other players on the map. Like this one has 3 players. That's interesting, so you can see other players, what they chose to do. Here's your journey around the world in 3 days and counting. If you click this, you'll get an idea of how far you've traveled and how you did it. Skipping time a little bit here. The hotel was too expensive. We had no option but to curl up in a shady spot under a tree like wild dogs and try our luck outside. Halfway through the night we were accosted by a miserable and hungry individual. I bid them join us, and they did so, only to spend the hours until daybreak scratching at my arms and legs from fleas, so I woke even more tired than before. Alright, so relations with Fogg have deteriorated slightly. Your character is now steadfast. I am in roaring health, but we must make haste. So let's embark on the Orient Express to Vienna. Boarding the Orient Express was an altogether calmer affair than our race through London had been. Mechanical porters loaded us into through the windows and then snapped them shut with a delicate click. The train was extremely fast and could sweep us across the whole of Europe, or at least as far as the Deutsches Kaiserreich, where the track currently ceased. A last long whistle blew and we began our journey east. So we can do something here with Fogg. A shaped mustache, excellent, so it seems we just fixed his mustache. My master wished you to be undisturbed, so as we left Paris, I left him and went to explore the train. There was a delightful dining car and an observation deck formed by the replacement of an entire compartment with an open glass cube. So we can watch the scenery, or we could attend the dining car. Let's do that. And found a few groups of people talking quietly. Alright, let's eavesdrop, or we could sit with a young composer, or we could join a pair of young Parisian ladies. Let's do that. Sounds nice. Who were toasting the adventure away from France. They were going to Vienna to hear a concert by the great steam orchestra there. I only hope we will be allowed to leave, one confided. So we can flirt because of your great beauty, or we could be more serious and say because of the political situation. Let's just flirt. I inquired and the girl blushed. Her companion frowned at me. You are a valet, monsieur, she pointed out. You do not have the standing required for such a remark. I am first and foremost a Frenchman, I rejoined with a little smile. The girl shook her head, and above that, a man, she replied with a sigh. Come, Isobel. She stood, and her friend reluctantly, I think, left with her. I finished my cognac, and then I returned to Monsieur Fogg, who to my surprise looked up from his paper at me. What did you learn? He inquired. Yeah, let's tell him of the dining car. And he looked smartly aside, clearly unimpressed. Relations with Fogg have deteriorated slightly, so I guess he's not a women's man. Your character is now polished. Yeah. I am on fine form, but we must make haste. You are quite the flamboyant type, I see. But we are here in Vienna in a little bit. We'll have to explore Vienna to find an onward journey. So it seems like they have a landmark from all of the locations in the background. Let's just explore. So now we got some new routes that opened up here. So now we could pick a new route here. Zoom out a little bit, look at the world. Probably head to Budapest, really. Or we could go head up north here. See if we could make it to Moscow from St. Petersburg. And then across here. It's probably the better option. But alright guys, you get the idea of this game. It's very much text-based and with some artwork for the locations and a different random events to keep it interesting. And you can play it on tablets if you want to, which is, to be honest, probably a better idea. If you're just traveling around, you can play this and have some fun with it. I'm not sure that you gain anything really from playing the PC version over the tablet version. And it's something that's easy to pick up and play for a while and then just save it and close it down. Pick it up again later when you have the time during your travels or whatever you're doing. It's fairly simple, easy to get into, but it seems that the mechanics works pretty well. That's the game guys, 80 days, it's on Steam. Pick it up if you think it looks interesting. Thank you for watching and I'll catch you all next time.